Hello there and welcome back to another video. I decided to change the perspective on this video, and I think it also means that we need to look at a couple of different perspectives about the transfer window for Liverpool as well. Now, first things first, I hope that you guys are doing as well as possible and keeping yourselves as good and well as possible as well. However, obviously the transfer window for Liverpool is taking a lot of focus right now. When we come into deadline day, even when we're coming up to like the week before deadline day, it has to be recognised that if you know Liverpool and you know how Liverpool do things, there's no way we were going to sign anybody. It just wasn't going to happen. If Liverpool have identified a player, they tend to get them quite quickly. Very, very rarely does it ever seem to happen very quickly, like where there's a rumour and then it happens within that same day. Very, very rare. Fabinho's the one that comes to mind. We were linked for like an hour or two and then bang, signing was through the door and he was signed as a Liverpool player. That's a rare occasion. That really is a rare occasion. We've had a couple of quiet windows. Obviously, I think last year we had, Thiago and Jota being the key ones. This year we've got Konate, brought him in quite early as well. And then since then, haven't done anything. Okay? Whether you think that we needed to do something or not, whether we needed to bring in some players to strengthen, or if you thought we're okay as we are, that's entirely your opinion. And I will give you my opinion as well. I'm not shying away from giving my opinion on this as well. Konate will be a brilliant signing. We'll start to see him getting integrated into the team when the cup competitions start coming in, and start seeing him in the Champions League and such like that as well. With the return of all of our injured players that we had last season as well, Virgil van Dijk, Joe Gomez, to name just a few. Obviously, Fabinho had some injury issues as well, Jordan Henderson as well. We've had a lot of injuries last season. We know that. We know this rhetoric. We know this dialogue that I'm talking about as well. So we would have expected possibly for some strengthening to happen to foresee that there might be some injuries. Obviously, we've got Bobby Firmino. He's got a hamstring injury at the moment. Apparently, it doesn't look, too serious. Fair play. Okay, no problem. This team and this squad, take it as a whole. Take it for what it will. It has won the Champions League and it has also won the Premier League. We've lost Gini Wijnaldum. He's at PSG with an absolute array of stars there as well. And we haven't replaced Gini Wijnaldum. Gini Wijnaldum has been replaced, and it might not be the way that people like it, or generally, if you were to go by social media outcry, it doesn't look like the way that people want it to be replaced. So obviously we were linked a lot to Renato Sanchez. There was also players like Camavinga who were available, who I don't think we were linked to. There's been some other midfielders as well. Saul as well, who looks like he could be on his way to Chelsea. We were linked to him quite heavily before he got linked to Manchester United, and then has now been heavily linked and looks quite progressive in terms of going to Chelsea. Possibly on loan, but I don't know if it's going to have like an obligation to buy. None of my business. It's not my club. So now obviously we see the recruitment that I'll tell you now. I think Ronaldo kicked this into overdrive for a lot of Liverpool fans online. The online fan base is it's a firecracker, like at the best of times. It really, really is. When we were winning the Champions League and we won the Premier League, there was still a lot of people with FSG out. They didn't like the way the club did the business, but it was doing well. Came third last season, had a very, very big dip where we just didn't have the players in. We just didn't have the right people in to cover, big injuries and such like that. What I feel people are missing about Liverpool is Liverpool have made a profit in this transfer window, along with the likes of Burnley, which puts your transfer spending in a bit of perspective. Let's be honest, and that's not great. It also means that we've gone into this season in a very, very similar position that we were last year as well, with the addition of Konate, hoping that he stays injury free as well, and hoping that Van Dijk stays injury-free. Matip stays injury-free. Henderson, Gomez. Hoping that these guys stay injury-free throughout the whole campaign. And it is hope. Obviously, we hope that they stay injury-free because we've seen what this team can do when they stay injury-free. We've seen what they've been able to do, amassing 97 points, I think it was. When we didn't win the title against City, but we won the Champions League that season, and then we won the Premier League as well, amassing a great deal of points and a huge, huge unbeaten run as well. Take those 2 years, as they are, and then we go into this year and we look at other teams, and I don't like focusing on other teams as well, but it has to be presented anyway. You look at what other teams have done. Chelsea, obviously, they've recruited a brilliant tactical manager and just a good manager in general. And they've recruited a good amount of players, a good deal of players as well. A striker as well, a very, very good striker. You look at Man City, they recruit all the time. They're always active in the transfer market as well. And then you look at Manchester United. Okay, they did address a couple of key areas. The main one being the centre-back, Raphael Varane, being the big signing that you thought that could be the marquee signing for them. And then they go smash it out the park and they bring Ronaldo back to Manchester United as well. Whatever anybody thinks of that, it's a huge signing for Manchester United, whatever he'll bring to them. Hopefully he doesn't score goals against Liverpool, but he's a huge signing. He's an excellent goal scorer. It is what it is. And then you look down further, different clubs that are, buying players, recruiting, strengthening their teams. If you were to look at Liverpool, you would have said centre-back or defence in general would have needed, reinforcement. Well, we went out and did that early on. So you thought, all right, cool, no problem. That's addressed. Let's move on to the next. Then you would look at midfield because you know that Gini Wijnaldum was going and he ended up going. He had a choice between Barcelona and PSG. He went to PSG and that's where he's playing his trade at the moment. This is what I mean when I think that people didn't like that it hasn't been a big name signing for Liverpool. Harvey Elliott has come back off loan from Blackburn and has come back to Liverpool and is playing in the midfield. Okay. Now, for me, I thought that Harvey Elliott would be much more of a forward line sort of rotation player, someone that might come on for Salah, maybe come on for Sadio Mane, and he still definitely does have that ability to do that, no question about it. But the fact that he's played such a prominent role in games against Chelsea, for example, where he was a standout player for Liverpool in a team full of seasoned professionals and champions of the league, champions of Europe, and Harvey Elliott, 17 years old, was one of the marquee players in that game. It says a lot about Harvey Elliott. Very, very, very talented player, and I enjoy watching him play. And I hope, for the love of God, I hope that he can stay fit for the rest of the season and have a good focal point as a part of this team as well, because he's a very, very good player who will only get better with us in this system and playing regular football. And I hope that that happens. Then you've also got Curtis Jones, who isn't always everyone's favourite topic, but Curtis Jones as a midfielder would most likely be the guy that you'd look at if you're not going to buy anybody. Most likely is going to take Gini Wijnaldum's place in there as well. You've got two players there. Harvey Elliott, who wasn't with us last season because he was on loan, that's the player that's come back. There's never going to be a signing of a midfielder when that is the plan. That is the plan, to bring Harvey Elliott in, use that talent, and you've got Curtis Jones. Then you've got the plethora of midfield options that we have in the likes of Fabinho, James Milner, Naby Keita, Oxlade-Chamberlain. The list could go on. Harvey Elliott, Curtis Jones, and there probably will be others that I am forgetting right now. That's why a midfielder wasn't bought. That is why a midfielder wasn't bought. Okay, so fine. Okay, we've got some there. And then you would probably think there needs to be a little bit of freshening up maybe in that front line. Now, a lot of people were saying about the wingers. I disagree. Personally, I think wingers, having the likes of Harvey Elliott be able to stay and step into that role of playing in a wing position as well as playing in the midfield, that's okay, that's key, no worries. You've got Jota, you've got Sadio Mane, and you've also now got Minamino. He's back with us. So wingers for me, or if you want wide players, whatever you want, wingers for me wasn't the priority. The priority for me, my opinion, was to actually have someone up front. Now, I know a lot of people will turn around and say, well, what about Bobby Firmino? I genuinely love Bobby Firmino. Fantastic player. And I truly believe to get the very best out of him would be to play behind a striker. I've gone on about a 4-2-3-1 formation so many times last season that I'm almost sick of saying it. But I would love us to play that sort of system because I think that a lot of people look at it and say that's a very defensive system. But whenever we have played that system, we have looked defensively good, but we look good going forward as well. And if you settled into that sort of formation or system or whatever you want to call it, then we could actually look at that and play 4 attackers and almost 6 defensive-minded players as well. That could progress the play. You look at Fabinho, Henderson, anyone who plays in those sort of deeper roles, they don't just sit. They will take the ball, they will progress the ball through the forward play. I would have loved to have seen Firmino just in behind a striker because I think that's where he would thrive the most. He would start getting more assists and maybe getting some more goals as well with someone else to play off. My dream signing, forget Mbappe. My dream signing would be Erling Haaland. I don't think it's going to happen, not even next year when his price either drops or whatever his release clause comes into action, whatever it might be. If Liverpool pulled the trigger on Erling Haaland next year, I'm all over it. That's absolutely fantastic. But I felt we needed to do something up front this year. You look at the amount of chances that Liverpool create, tell me how many of them weren't a cross, weren't something passed along the box, weren't passed from out wide, or corners. To have someone that could be a target man, not necessarily have to be like 7 feet tall or whatever, but could, put away chances that the likes of Salah, Mane and Firmino won't put in because, all right, they might do it every now and again, but to have an actual out-and-out number 9 that we really haven't had, because I don't class Suarez as one, and let's forget about Andy Carroll, please, and Benteke. God, we've actually had quite a couple of strikers, really, when you think about it, but Torres was, like, for me, the last number 9 that we had that I thought, wow, look at this guy, like, absolutely fantastic. Like, he had everything as a striker. And you look at when Torres left, it's been years. It's been so long. And we rely on our wingers, predominantly Salah at the moment, to score all of our goals. For me, I would have loved to have seen us go out there and buy a striker. I can deal with, like, I love the fact that we've got our players back from injury in defence, and I love that we've gone out and got Ibrahima Konate. Love that. Midfield, everybody who ever watches this channel knows I am all about promoting people from the academy or young players. Get them in the team. If they're good enough, they're old enough. It's always the saying. If they're good enough, they're old enough. Trent Alexander-Arnold proved it. Curtis Jones could still prove it. People question him. Midfield's a difficult area, but he could prove it. And he's had very good games for us as well. He's had a couple of bad ones, but who hasn't? He's developing, he's growing. Harvey Elliott looks like he's come back into Liverpool, come into this team, and looks like he said, I am stamping my foot. This is going to be one of my positions. I am going to be in this starting 11, or I'm going to be in this squad. And I love that type of attitude because he genuinely looks like a top quality player. A top quality player. But forward, when we still have to rely on what might be a misfire in Sadio Mane, a heavy burden on Salah to score goals, and Firmino, and Jota as well, they do provide goals, but to actually have someone that's an out-and-out number 9, that was, for me, would have been, I could accept a good transfer window of Konate and a number 9. Obviously, like I said, my dream signing would have been Erling Haaland. He's so many clubs. dream signing. He really, really is. And it's not going to happen for Liverpool. It just isn't going to happen for Liverpool. And, we will always back the team, always back Klopp, always back all of the players. But are FSG waiting to pull a trigger on something next summer? Because it won't be January. It won't be January. Let's get rid of the January transfer for Liverpool, the window. Let's get rid of that straight away. Not going to be signed anyone in January. We're really not. It's not going to happen. And I know I'm saying this while I'm smiling. I want people to really understand that we're not going to sign anyone in January. We're not going to sign anyone in the last 4 or 5 hours of this transfer window today. It's not going to happen in January. Also, all the renewal of contracts is absolutely fantastic, but could also point to a quiet summer next year as well. So be prepared for that as well, because we might not go and pull the trigger on something like that. And Michael Edwards is going to be stepping down, our transfer guru. So are we starting to see a progression plan evolve where Klopp's contract is coming up in 2024, whether he renews or not, or if he decides to, see his contract out and do whatever he wants to go and do after that? I've got no arguments with that. He's done phenomenal things for us as a club, as a fan base. If he wants to just, see out of his contract and then move on to somewhere else, or maybe whatever else he wants to do, you've got my full respect and my full adoration for life for what he brought and turned around this club. I'll always love Klopp, whatever he does. But the silence that you get, and I get it, owners don't have to come out and say jack shit. Pardon the language, but they don't. You see it at other clubs. Owners are very, very quiet. Glazers, the Cronkies at Arsenal. You very, very rarely hear anything from Chelsea. Very rarely hear anything from Sheikh Mansour at Man City. You don't hear much from owners. So I think when people heard that whole John Henry apology from the Super League, whole stupid thing that they tried to do, and they had that apology video that he did, somehow people have sort of interpreted that as like, oh, apology. They're going to go big in the summer and apologise to the fans properly. No, that was the only apology that we were getting. And while Klopp will be there and say he's happy with the team he's got, they haven't been able to, if they were able to identify someone that was going to improve that starting 11, then they would go out and get them, or they would go out and try and get them. And that he says they haven't done that. They haven't been able to do that, and he's very happy with what he's got. I accept that from Klopp, but there doesn't seem to be any proactive sort of movement from the ownership in terms of how are we going to strengthen and supplement this squad moving forward. Like, what is the plan? If there is an evolution plan for this club, what is it? Because we don't know what it is. We can't guess what it is. And we are just sat waiting. A lot of people are doing live streams of transfer deadline day, and they might have been sat here like all day doing transfer deadline day for Liverpool or releasing videos every now and again. I don't do it because months ago I accepted that we weren't going to be signing anybody. And I'm not just going to sit there and try and squeeze every little rumour and source and this, that and the other. And it's just not going to happen from me. It can happen for other people, but it's not going to happen from me. In my mind, Konate came in and I felt that was going to be it. Regardless of what I think or feel. I feel we should have gone out there and at least got a forward, a number 9. That would have been ideal for me. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. So we have to get behind the team, get behind the players, and hopefully make our voices heard to the owners in some way. I don't know what that is. A lot of people are talking about protests. I don't know if protests will work. It depends as well, because if you protest at the grounds or wherever you want to protest, are the owners even going to be there? They do turn up at Liverpool games every now and again, generally the big ones, like a Liverpool v Man City or something like that, or a big cup game, whatever it might be. They'll definitely turn up at those, but otherwise, you're just you're not protesting to anybody, and then you're going to get an angry Klopp or an upset Klopp that we're not supporting the team, which is what he would want. There's so many different variables to this type of situation that in the end, we just have to sort of shrug your shoulders, well, and that's all we can do. You could get as angry as you want and get as angry until you're blue in the face. That's not going to bring in the signings that you want. So you can watch other clubs sign loads and loads of players. If that's what you want to do, fair enough. Then go and do that. I'm going to get behind the team. I'm going to support the team as best as possible and hope that, because we do have a quality squad, we do have quality players, and we've got players that can challenge for the league as well. But we are going to get sticky situations where, like, we come up against Chelsea and we find it really difficult to break them down. We're going to get situations like that again. All we can really hope for, touch wood, is that the players can stay fit. Our key players can stay fit. Van Dijk, Gomez, Matip, Fabinho, Henderson, Konate, Alisson, everybody that would be in our normal starting 11. We have to hope that we can keep them fit. And if not, then we'll end up with another season like last year, and it will be harder to get into the top 4 to do that. So yeah, I just wanted to make this video with no real resolution at the end of it. I just wanted to make this video and get my thoughts out there, and that is what I've done. Please do feel free to let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section below, because I do love reading your comments as well. And let's just, it's international break right now, so we got to enjoy a little bit of silence, because I'm not watching international games. It's boring. It means nothing to me. So please do take care of yourselves. Try not to get too angry and worked up about everything here. Just try and just let it run off like water off a duck's back. Just let it run off. And let's just try and see what we can do. With every result that we could possibly have come up, whether it be a loss or a draw in games, let's not try and have it come back to the fact that we haven't done transfers, because while that is a valid point, it doesn't do anything to help and support the team. And that's what I'm about. Whether you agree with it or not, I'm about supporting the team and supporting the club and supporting the manager. That's what I'll be doing this season, and I hope you guys will enjoy it as well. Thank you ever so much for watching this video. If you have enjoyed it, please do like it and subscribe if you're new around here. Thank you once again. Do take care of yourselves, and I'll catch you later.